which is because people who are attempting suicides, they are underreported or the misreported in the data. So this is because people have a stigma. People don't want to go into the legal, religious, or political pressures. There are people who die by self-starvation, where which was always gone unreported, as people think that person was aged, person was in the pain, that's why the person was not eating. Then the person who are having missing complaints, the financial conditions of the people, social position of the deceased also hampered the reporting of the suicide. So we can initiate help by advice, friendship, by talk out with the people, enhance friendship with the people, have a relatives at home. Significant others can play a vital role. Gatekeepers, social workers, psychologists, psychiatrists, and other mental health professionals can initiate help. So we should work, we all together should work on the reporting and documentation of the suicidal committed suicide or suicidal behaviors. So avoid over reporting, avoid comparison. Over reporting is some suicides are reported as accidents and accidents are reported as a suicide, which has different political intentions behind it. And we also should avoid the comparison between the different groups, different regions, different countries, to understand the suicidal behavior, as the suicidal behavior is always unique. Persons has his own intentions, reasons behind suicide. So the suicide reporting should be increased, and the research in this field should be more in terms of qualitative research.
Nilesh sir,
What help? Yeah.
Nilesh sir, sorry to interrupt in. Your time limit is over now. Time to conclude.
Okay, okay. I will conclude now. So the psychological well-being and to identify stressors, problem solving can help in the suicide to suicide prevention. The pandemic conditions are also seem to be having the increased rate of suicide due to economic crisis, joblessness, health, worry, fear, uncertainty, depression, anxiety, etc. So the pandemic situation is a risk to increase a suicidal attempts or committed suicide. So we should plan a action strategies to prevent suicide and suicidal attempts. Encourage people to limit a substance use and to have faith in themselves. So helplines and the media reporting, sensitive media reporting should be there other than the sensational reporting. So thank you very much. I have tried to cover many points. If any points are remaining, we can discuss. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for in a very short span. You have described so well and so nicely. Uh, if I'll request my participants to ask the question at the end of the session. Right now, Mr. Akash Raj will introduce the next topic, the legal perspective of suicide. Dr. Sachi will introduce Mr. Akash Raj. No, sir. None of the screen is visible and none of the audio is visible, audible. Computer screen showing here. You're presenting your computer screen. No. A light music can be heard if I concentrate on it. Then I can hear a light music. Something is playing, but we don't know what it's saying. Mr. Akash, kindly introduce him.
Shall we proceed? Shall we proceed, Dr. Sasibhushan? Am I clearly audible, visible? Is everything fine?
Sir, you're clearly visible and audible.
Okay, thank you so much. So, first of all, I would like to thank the directors and moderators, Dr. Sasibhushan and Dr. Akruti, for inviting me on this discussion platform. And my regard to chairpersons, and I want to welcome all the audience. So today's topic for discussion is awareness for suicide or suicidal attempt, and I will be representing the legal aspects of suicide or attempt to suicide, which has been suicide is one of the most controversial and conflicting topic in Indian legislations because yeah, it deals with all the socio-legal, religious, and it impacts on everything like personal life, academic life, economic life. So it deals with everything, and it laid impact on everything. Uh, so from the socio-legal point of view, suicide is also a public health concern, and which from that point we initiate it from I think Article 47 of Indian Constitution, which states that a state has duty to protect and safeguard their public health. So the right and duties starts from there, and usually the societal behavior indicates depression and mental illness. Uh, so suicide has become a very big issue in Indian teenagers, especially we say the ages between the ages among 15 to 29 or 30 years of age. And so we are going to discuss here now and start discussing from the suicide or attempt to suicide from its legal and penalizing provision enshrined in our Indian Penal Code, which is which is given in section 309 of IPC, which states that whoever attempt to commit suicide and try to and does any act towards the commission of such offense shall be punished with a simple imprisonment for period of 1 year, or with fine, or with both. So from decades, from 2 decades, tons of conflicting views are coming forward with regard to debating or penal provision with regard to attempt to suicide, which is section 309 of IPC. Because from the elementary reading of this section, it requires intention. So so it can be inferred that the attempt to suicide requires intention to kill one's to end up one's own life. And suppose if you take example of like an intoxicated person drink some pesticide or some any poisonous liquid while in the state of intoxication. So he is not going to be charged under section 309 because he has taken it mistakenly, not intentionally. So if we come to the article 21 of Constitution of India, which guarantees and which is a fundamental right of Indian citizens, which guarantee the right to life, uh, protection of life, took place in I guess 1973, where she was when she was working in a hospital, and at the date of incident, she was sexually molested, sexually assaulted by another employee of the same hospital, and she was left in a vegetative state. The incident the incident was like coma. She was paralyzed also, and she was paralyzed for next 30 to 35 years in the same hospital, and the employees of the same hospital were serving her, were taking care of her. So after the 35 years of suffering that intolerable situation, a next friend of Aruna, a next friend of Aruna Shanbag filed a petition in Supreme Court uh, asking for passive euthanasia or euthanasia for her. So we will come to that euthanasia topic again later. Let us clear the core of section 309. So in her case, Aruna Shanbag versus Union of India, Supreme Court comes with a decision of decriminalizing section 309. And so according to the judgment of Supreme Court in Aruna Shanbag, the government of India, the Supreme Court refer their views to Parliament, whether it should be uh, decriminalized or not. So the government of India, after witnessing a huge number of suicidal cases, and and they need to bring a new legislation like Mental Health Care Act in line with United Nations Convention on Protection of or right with people with disabilities, person with disabilities, 2007, proposed a special legislation, it was named with Mental Health Care Bill 2013, which came into effect in 2017 as an enactment, that is Mental Health Care Act 2017. Although after passing this Mental Health Care Act, there has been a confusion regarding in many areas, like whether this Section 309 is still applicable, is still operating or not. So this Section 309 is still applicable, it is still operating in certain cases, because completely decriminalizing an offense might lead to misuse of that decriminalized provision. So it's better to keep it penalizing in certain cases, so to avoid misuse of that decriminalized provisions. So the Mental Health Care Act 2017, what it comes with, Section 115 of MHCA 2017, it says that nothing withstanding anything contained in Section 309 of IPC, unless proved otherwise, shall be presumed severe distress, and shall not be tried and punished under the said code of Indian Penal Code. So basically, so it is pertinent to note here that in Mental Health Care Bill 2013, the word was given mental illness, which was replaced by severe stress in Mental Health Care Act 2017. So, but severe stress has not been defined anywhere. What is severe stress? And so basically, according to Section 115 of MHCA 2017, suicide attempters are presumed to be under severe stress, and government should not punish them. Rather, government should provide them care, rehabilitation, and treatment, proper treatment to reduce or to avoid any chances or any risk of recurrence. Uh, so here the decriminalization of this penal provision of attempt to suicide might lead to openness in. So here I am getting a lot of questions. Uh, do you guys mind if I answer it after I finish my presentation?
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, did you finish? Sorry.
No, no, not yet, not yet. I am yet to finish, and yeah, Kriti, please let me know if I exceed time. So,
Okay,
yeah,
sir. So you have
yeah,
10 minutes more. You have 10 minutes more.
yeah, fine, fine. Thank you so much. It's enough. So, decriminalization has mix-up effect on the society, or mix-up effect on the provision of this Section 309 of Indian Penal Code. So basically, decriminalization is one step towards the alleviation, the crushing isolation felt by people with mental illness. But there is a difference between implementing a law, framing a law, and implementing and framing a law, exactly. So just framing a law is not enough. It should be implemented on a grassroots level for immediate effect and to the best of it. So, Law Commission of India Law Commission of India never intended to provide a blanket protection to all kind of suicide. So it's still some certain kind of suicide attempts are punishable. They are under penal provision of Section 309, like the Law Commission or the Parliament. After facing a lot of narcotic drug trafficking cases, narcotic drug and terrorism cases, and the phenomenon of human bomb. So these are like these are also a kind of suicide, killing themselves, killing one's own life, but this does not comes under the blanket provision of Section 115 of MHCA Act. So okay, so the view taken by Law Commission, coupled with the element of mens rea here, may bifurcate between these two kinds of suicide: suicide with intention and suicide with severe stress. So mens rea is one of the main element here. And in Aruna Schonberg, one more element has been discussed. I will come to that point. So once we discuss with suicide, one more thing comes in mind, which is altogether and globally, it has been a conflicting area, that is called euthanasia. So in Aruna Schonberg case, uh, the the Supreme Court was also asked to provide to implement positive euthanasia, passive euthanasia, sorry, passive euthanasia in India, because there are many disease, there are many incurable disease in India which are to be deal with passive or active euthanasia. Basically, this word euthanasia derives from a Greek word that is said you and thantos, which says death in good sense. So so basically the right has always been discussed in a positive sense, never in a negative sense. But when it comes to death, it becomes death by will. It becomes to a matter of discussion. So there are many religious point of view, because India is a religion oriented, deeply religion oriented place, where a practice of santhara in some religion, practice of santhara has been used from hundreds of years. They in santhara they stop consuming food and drinks, and at a stage of their life when they feel that they want to leave their body, at that stage they feel like the body is their cage for is a cage for their soul, and they want to leave their body. So they willingly, voluntarily want to be dead, and they want to leave their body, and they stop drinking, consuming any food, anything, and they end up their life like that. So in 2015, Rajasthan High Court banned this custom practice of religion to end up their life, stating that you cannot take your life in an unnatural way, because the right to life is a natural right, and it is given by God, and you cannot take it in an unnatural way. But later on, Supreme Court struck down the judgment of High Court, and validate this custom practice of this religion to end up their life like santhara. And there are many more like there are many things like this santhara and in other religions also. So, and Article 21 of the Constitution, we are discussing whether it includes right to life. Right to life includes right to die or not. So, in this case of Aruna Schonberg, Supreme Court clearly states that right to life does not include right to die, but it includes right to die with dignity. So there should not be any confusion between right to die and right to die with dignity. Both are different, totally different from each other. So so in Aruna Schonberg case, Supreme Court states that although in Aruna's case, she was not granted passive euthanasia by Supreme Court, but in her case, Supreme Court legalizes passive euthanasia in India, and with strict parameter and guidelines framed by Supreme Court to end up the life of a patient who is in a vegetative state or terminally ill. and he can end up his own life by making a will, advance will or active will. And Supreme Court has set a very strict guidelines and parameters, like with the will should be signed in presence of two attesting witnesses, and first class judicial magistrate should be verifying it. A medical board will be constituted by the hospital first, of three expert doctors with 20 years of practice, and they will identify whether the bill whether the patient and his instruction written in his will should be acted upon or not. If they feel so, and if they think so, that yes, this is the time, this is the stage what is written in the will, then they refer their satisfaction to the judicial magistrate of the first class of the jurisdiction, and the judicial magistrate will identify and constitute another medical board for with three doctors comprising of the chief medical officer of the district, and he will again identify with his expert team whether the patient has reached that stage or not, and then the copy will be preserved for the future purpose, and the the judicial magistrate will inform the family or the next friend or the parents of the patient or the executor, like for stating that the patient has reached the stage where he was willing to end up his life, and where he said to he agreed to stop his medication, to stop his life support, to stop his food. So, but yeah, so in this way, these are the strict parameters and guidelines set by Supreme Court for passive euthanasia. So there has been recently there has been a petition filed by the Medical Association for active euthanasia also, that it should be legalized in India also, because there are some diseases which are not to be ended upon stopping the life support or medication, like there are many diseases like rabies, especially the petition is filed for rabies, that the patient is never on life support system, patient is never on a very strict medication, because of his the disease symptoms. He need to be tied up to a bed, and let him suffer, like to let him suffer to his death. So there is no any other option except active euthanasia, or like the fourth stage of cancer we can take as an example, where active euthanasia can work, because it's obvious the fourth stage of cancer is a suffering stage for the patient, and he should be, and there is only one option for that, is active euthanasia will be easy and feasible for to end up the life of executor or the patient. So basically, section 309 and section 115, section 115 of the Mental Health Care Act 2017 is a special legislation, and it has a overriding effect on IPC, on the penal provision of IPC, but still it did not the section 309 did not repeal it, it did not delete it. Section 309 is still in operation, it is still active, and in certain cases, yes. And yeah, there is one more case I want to discuss about the euthanasia. It's a recent case of like in France, the person was dying, and he was almost on the verge of death, and he wanted his life to end up. making a video, and video should be live on social media like Facebook and other social media websites. And he was doing so, but the government of France, because in France euthanasia is not legalized still, but there is an option to stop. Patient can stop medication. He can refuse to take medicines. He can refuse to take food, or he can refuse to take liquids. So he decided to do so, but later on it was banned by Facebook, and it was a strict instruction passed by France government not to publish or not to telecast these kind of videos, because it may deviate the mind of other people. It may deviate the mind of teenagers to do these kind of acts, which are not good and fit for the socio-legal point of view. So here I think I have discussed all the things here which I wanted to. So let me know if you guys have any questions.
Akash sir,
Yes.
uh, Akash sir, this is Shrey.
Yeah, please, yeah, go ahead.
Many thanks, sir, for taking out time and explaining us
My
the
pleasure.
legal provisions. I
Hmm.
think I have taken all the notes, sir, and I'm gonna reach out to you for all questions.
Thank you so
I
much.
mean, given that we've been following, I'm not sure if you're following the Indian news, but then one of the celebrity recently committed suicide.
Uh-huh.
So, and the defenses and I mean, the background story runs around like that. There's a lot of, say, nepotism in the industry of Bollywood.
Hmm.
Consequent to that, the person the
Hmm.
person was forced to commit suicide. So, what
Hmm.
is your take, or what is your understanding of this current issue?
So, thank you so much for your questions, Ray. I was really expecting this kind of question from someone, yeah. So, because this was one of the hot topics these days going on. The case of late Sushant Singh
Yes, it's
Rajput.
very hot.
Yeah, exactly. So, so the case of Sushant Singh Rajput is under CBI investigation, but as per the FIR under Sushant Singh Rajput, it's a case of abetment to suicide, which was filed against the several big producers and actress and other stars of the Bollywood. But I don't think it's appropriate to say anything or judgmental about this, because it's under investigation and CBI is still investigating it. So yeah, it's a
But
case
sir,
of, yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
sorry,
Please go
sorry,
ahead.
sorry,
Go
sorry to interject, sir.
ahead. Please
Basically,
go
I
ahead.
want to know your personal opinion on the background itself, like situations or circumstances that can lead to a particular person to commit suicide, especially a person who is in a position like that, who is already doing so good in life. So,
Hmm.
I mean, and also, do you think there should be any changes and amendments to the law so as to make sure that we are closer to finding the truth and not like, say, for example, it took so much time to get the CBI on board?
Hmm. So, thank you so much, Shrey. Thanks for asking. So, in my opinion, I think first of all, if this is a suicide case of a superstar, or of a person who is idol of many youth, idol of many youngsters, I think it's inappropriate to highlight the case, and it's inappropriate to to highlight and publish everywhere, because the teenagers, the youth, the youngster who are the fan followers of that person, they get distressed, they get under mental pressure, and because I am sharing this because this is one of my friend's story, and she is a very big fan of Sushant Singh Rajput, and she is right now, she is really mentally stressed. She is under depression just because of this news running around here every time. So just because this news running around, against that, because some and some news channels, it was against him. Some news channels was publishing or telecasting in favor of him. Some news channels were saying that it's a case of homicide. Some news channels said that it's a murder case. So yeah, this kind of I'm strongly against this kind of disturbing news. It led very bad effect. It led very bad impact on the mind of teenagers or youngsters.
Sir,
Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you so much, Ray.
uh, sir, can you tell the participants who are not from law faculty, can you
Mhm.
brief them what is homicide, what is psychological autopsy, and other terms which are related to Sushant Singh Rajput case? We are not discussing about the case, but we
Yeah,
are
exactly.
discussing about the terminology which have been aircasted on the news channels,
Hmm.
like homicide, psychological
Hmm.
autopsy, and these are the terms which are we are getting through the news channels. Can you brief in short?
Okay, thank you so much for asking. So homicide is mentioned in section 299 of IPC, which says that whoever causes death by doing an act with the intention of causing death or with the intention of causing such bodily injury as is likely to cause death, or with the knowledge that is likely by such act to cause death, that commits the offense of culpable homicide. So here, in case of Sushant Singh Rajput, if you specifically ask, then there is nothing till now, till date. There is nothing they have found, like even the CBI reports have not been submitted, but in the police investigation, they have nothing found yet with regard to homicide or something like that. It's just a news channel matter and all.
Sir, on the one of the news channel, when
Mm-hmm.
I was going through, I heard about the psychological autopsy. CBI is
Mm-hmm.
going to perform the psychological autopsy by AIMS doctors. Is it
Okay.
possible if a person is died 70 days ago, and after
Okay.
70 days, can team of CBI or a team of doctors can do the autopsy and find the culprits who murdered him or how he suicided? Can the reason found out with the psychological autopsy?
So
70 days death.
so 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 yeah,
Yes,
please.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. 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 Companion. Yes, sir. Okay. The people understand. Okay. Very, very interesting. Okay. Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Sir,
Excuse me.
well,
Sorry. Okay. Sorry.
Akash, sir, there are number of questions with you, but there is a question with Dr. Nilesh, sir. Sir, I would like, there is a question with you
Mhm.
from Rohit Ogar. Sir, he wants to
Yeah.
ask, is suicide based on caste discrimination comes
Mm-hmm.
under which category, social or cultural? Again, I repeat,
Mm-hmm.
Rohit sir wants to ask, suicide based on caste discrimination comes under in which category, social or cultural?
Okay. May I start?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. The suicide attempts influenced by enforced by the social discrimination, caste discrimination can be understood by two people's theory. One is by the Durkheim theory, and the another one from the Karl Marx theory. So the Karl Marx speaks about the social class. As the Karl Marx is not belongs to India, so he speaks about the social class where the class system is present, basically in the Western region, and where he speaks about the diversion or the stratification of the society based on the class, where the upper class people do not want to tolerate the lower class people, they demolish them, they control them, and that in the Indian culture can be a good example of the caste system where the upper caste people try to have a monopoly. They have a strict rules regulations which are imposed on the lower caste people, and the discrimination happens here. So this can be rightly, or this can be understood on the basis of the Karl Marx class theory. Okay, the other one is the Durkheim's theory, where the fatalistic suicide, where the group of the people or the community has the high regulation, where they do not tolerate the other groups, where person thinks that there is no way to live in this life. The people or the community is going to have a restrictions on individual's life. So this can be concluded that this can be explained on this both theories. And the socio-cultural aspects of the suicide, where these are the practices which are accepted by the community, where people goes for it, like samadhi, starvation, are the practices in the community which are usually practiced to attempt a suicide. Thank you.
Okay. I request
I would like to ask, excuse me, I would
one
like to
more.
add something to what Nilesh said. I think this discrimination and everything, you can't just say like particularly segregate something totally like something social and cultural, because everything is interconnected and interlinked basically. So whatever the social aspects we have, it also affects the cultural aspects of the people, and also what is culturally integrated in people are eventually reflected in the social thing also. So I think it is interlinked. We can't say this is totally a social thing and totally a cultural, but I think it is totally interlinked with each other. So you can't just separate and say it is like black and white, but everything is, we have to see it with the from a little bit gray area also. I think that will be the appropriate thing to.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. I request my participants to kind, though we are having very dynamic speakers today. One is from psychosocial field and one is from the legal field, and he is an international legal associate. So I want my participants to ask questions one by one, One is from Nilesh sir and another is from Akash sir. So we can enrich other people are also from psychological group. So we other people will also be facilitated with the knowledge. Thank you.
Ma'am, I have a question which is mix of both psychological and legal aspect.
Okay, Nilesh sir, kindly come on the screen.
So basically, my question is both to Nilesh sir and Akash sir. So, I mean, we've been witnessing that there's a trend, I'm just going to bring out a new angle to the mental wellness, which is not related, just limited to suicide. My question being like we're witnessing a, steep rise in violence against women and other atrocities towards women. And a lot has to do with the kind of things that our youth or the people of the country are exposed to, and that includes social media and other content which is available on the websites. So my question being like, given that there are various reforms that the government is trying to bring in, like by a ban of pornography and all and other websites. So my questions to the two esteemed speaker is that, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, yeah, please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
sir. Trey, you are clearly audible. Kindly go ahead.
Okay, so my question to Akash and Nilesh sir is, what other steps do you think government should take? Like, say, for example, because the pornography and all, they put an impact which is making our youth or generation very insensitive towards the other gender. And there are other things available on the social side as well. So what do you think should be it at the educational level, be it at the very nascent level, people should teach their children and all that will help us become a better society?
Okay, so thank you so much for your question, Shrey. Can I proceed first, Nilesh sir?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, so basically, that's why in my presentation I said, Shrey, my opinion was like the framing of law is different thing, and implementation at grassroots level is different thing. So especially in Indian society and especially in Indian village, in rural areas, the percentage of uh, um, literate population is very less, and that's why so to aware people about their mental illness, because most of them they don't know that they are mentally stressed, they need medical assistance, they need psychiatrists, they need psychologists. So most of them they don't know anything about that, and an influence an undue influence of some bad elements, they commit something bad, like they commit an offense like attempt to suicide or something like that. So that's why just pornography, ban on pornography or ban on drug trafficking, this is the different part of social and cultural thing, and social and legal thing. And implementation of legal provisions is different part of things. So that's why uh, I think they should basically the awareness of suicide, the awareness on suicide, and the number of psychiatrists, the number of psychologists should be raised in and should be paid more attention in rural areas also, where there is no awareness like that. There is no connection with and especially they have no economic they have no economic assistance, they have no financial capability to to treat themselves medically for their mental illness or mental distress. So government should look at not only ban on things, but government should look at also providing assistance to giving aid and free medical treatment, and yeah, awareness organizations like that. It's Nilesh
Yeah,
sir, you
okay.
can.
I would also like to add upon it. See, so government takes decision. Government ban the pornography. Government ban the PUBG. Government ban the notes. So these are the steps government takes to have a governance, to establish good governance. But there are some issues with the decisions. So if you suddenly do something and if you not come with the alternative of people, then it may cause a problem. Likewise, earlier I had heard about the people who are mostly adolescents who have attempted suicide because of the online gaming. You might have heard about the mobile game. Then the PUBG, when PUBG was banned, then people have the adolescent children, what was their mental condition. Okay. So this is an example of the poor regulation in the community. Okay. Now how can be improved? Can be improved with the providing the alternative solutions to the situations or problems, which can be where you can have a good scope. Okay. Now if as the suicide is associated with plenty of reasons, as every case has its own explanation of suicide. So what we need to understand is we need to go with explanatory model. As we were talking about the psychological autopsy. So we can understand the behavioral patterns, risks involved. Okay. What are the individual's thoughts, dreams, beliefs before attempting suicide. So these can give us a options. You get a checklist on which we can work further to prevent suicide. Now what government? Yes, government has a usual role to play in it. As the WHO is helping governments, the countries to plan a strategies to avoid suicide in the community. So how this can work? This can work if the government can go up the grassroots level with effective policies, plans, and if those plans and policies can be effectively implemented, such as say helplines. So government has helplines, but if those are situated in the people have access of physical and online of helplines where they can call upon and the first word what they can hear is okay, we are ready to help you, please tell us what is your problem. Not helplines where you put a button, you play this one button and then you go for the next services. So easy accessibility of the services at the ground level will help in suicide prevention. Thank you.
I will understand that the government can do anything, but if we are not having our self-control or we are not having our that sort of willpower, nothing can stop. That's it. Another question is from Mr. Akash.
Yes, indeed.
Is assisted euthanasia is morally permissible or not?
So, for passive euthanasia, government has legalized, Supreme Court has legalized in India, but for that, there is a very detailed procedure for that, because it should be voluntary, it should be not coercion. You have signed in presence of witness and magistrate. So I think morally passive euthanasia, just because I want to kill myself and I'm suffering from intolerable pain, I'm suffering from intolerable disease, and I think that I should kill myself and I should end my life like this. This does not come from passive euthanasia, because without following parameters, without following the guidelines, it does not come from the purview of passive euthanasia. Yes.
Another question from Mr. Arun Bhatia. Why does segregate using college suicide?
Thank Thank you, Arun. Thanks for this question. So, drug trafficking is another question of issue which led government of India and law commission to rethink about Section 309 to rename the penal provision. That's why the law commission did not completely delete Section 309 of ICC to because that's why I was saying because to prevent this use of decriminalized section, it is still penalizing in certain cases because if you have for example, let's say if you have no severe stress in life and if you are not mentally ill, you want to take your life into your life just because you are a drug addict. Then you are not in the blanket cover of Section 115 of Mental Health Act 2017 and you cannot take a plea of I need medical assistance and you cannot punish me. You will come under the purview of Section 309. That's why it is still penalizing.
Another question which one I want to ask. Ma'am, can you please answer it on your own?
Actually, I wanted to share my personal experience. This is a question. Experience I want to share. Am I audible to everybody? Yeah. When generally in the department or getting approvals in the medicine department, regarding I have also written in chat also regarding poisoning, drowning, or some kind of maybe self-inflicted harm, mental self-harm, getting approvals. Then the patient they clearly deny in case of poisoning, in case of even drowning. They clearly deny any kind of intentionality of committing suicide. And sometimes when they, even in the OPD, in the psychiatric OPD, when they say that, okay, I tried to attempt suicide, but when they are made aware, you have to buy them and leave or UCC or if commit suicide. Yeah, they feel very scared. And I've seen innumerable times the patient, they don't, they clearly deny committing suicide. So then it was very difficult for us in the first meeting to really even after interviewing the family members, we asked that what was the scenario. So they also specified that it was especially in villages. इसको फिनाइल मछली या फिनाइल की या फिर उसमें ऐसा लगा कि यार ये तो कुछ पीने वाली दवाई है उसने पी लिया और एक गलत नहीं हो गया they never many times clearly kind of intentionality of suicide. So and they are scared of emergencies, they are scared of cases, and they are scared of the section 905C. They feel that even if there are ultimately provisions suicide का criminality में आपको सजा नहीं मिलेगी, but जैसे नहीं suicide होता ही नहीं, तो गलती से गए या गलती खा लिया, this is a very common scenario. Then it is very difficult to intervene on the line of suicide या फिर explode or depressive symptoms. They totally become very guarded and totally deny kind of intervention. The patient as well as family members. So it is a really challenge for us in the clinical scenario. So that's why I want to share you all. Session with us, which I have given here questions regret is not there. They want to be interviewed. They totally talk of no, I want any kind of sexual intervention. Although they'll tell you to enforce degree, but they deny they consumed it on purpose. They really consumed it intentionally to kill themselves. So very there's a mishmash. That we try to do naturally, but this is really and many cases the impulsive attempt झगड़ा हुआ उसको खा लिया हाँ लेकिन उसी सेम टाइम पे एटलीस्ट दैट भी खा ऐसा गुस्सा आ रहा है खा लिया impulsive से very meditate. These are the things they are also using in the very much. So yes, these are two things. But yes, how in many cases the patient and the family member clearly denied. So very they are scared of disease, scared of criminalization, or yes, this happens real scenario of seeing yes, Shashi. Sorry to interrupt. Maybe that be this. So what do you take, Akash? What do you take on that? Because the patients are scared, they feel that they will be criminalized, punished, or committing suicide. How should we educate them? How should we enlighten on the medical aspect?
Thank you so much. First of all, in our society, with regard to this mental distress, mental illness, mental problem, or even if it's a family tension, if anyone goes to a psychiatrist or psychologist, in our society, we think that he is mad, or he is mentally retarded, he is going to be retarded, something like that, or it's a criminal, it's a criminal offense also. So there has been always a negativity in our society with regard to this mental distress or mental illness. We are never treated it as from a social point of view. We have never treated it as an illness or a mental as a problem in your mind or something like that, which can be cured with proper treatment or proper rehabilitation. The first thing comes to mind is like criminal behavior. It's a criminal offense. This person is mentally retarded. So that's why there is no openness instead of mental distress or mental illness. So that's why government or local government is really thinking about this decriminalization of this penalizing offense. That's why they want to get it on an open platform. They want patients to talk about it, to talk about their mental distress, to talk about their family problems, their psychiatric openly. And yeah, so that's what the awareness it needs to be done. At rural area, it is especially limited in rural areas, because in urban areas, at certain level, it's okay, people are getting aware, people are more educated than rural areas, but in rural areas, scenario is totally different. I would appreciate, I would more rely on the awareness for societal and rural area, societal awareness rural area.
Yeah, right. Pointed out. The first thing is when the person attempts suicide, it becomes a very personal attack. Okay. Out of stigma, out of the social condition, the normal condition, you may see the person may interact with you, may not interact with you. So that's why we need to understand each case differently. So if the person comes to you and he openly says that he wants to attempt suicide, he is having suicidal thoughts, it means he is in high level of distress, which we need to address. So how we are going to address it? So we need to address the suicidal behaviors, suicidal views, which are manifested by the individual, either in the community, family, or at the hospital level. So the intensity of the thoughts, beliefs to commit a suicide, and the actions, identity, how he is planning to attempt suicide is a very much important thing we need to assess. If you found that person is having a thought of committing suicide and also planning to commit suicide, then there are high chances of the person may go for it because the person is facing so much distress or pain or stigma, which can be a shame or guilt, of which person may commit suicide. Okay. So at community level, we know that suicide is decriminalized, but in the community, it's a high stigma around this suicide. So there are chances that the person may not be accepted by the community, as there are cases where if the member commits suicide, whole family is suffering by the community as they are taken. There are discrimination. Community people do not interact with them. They do not want to have them in the social gatherings. So this scenario which we usually see, or if there is no stigma, there is no stigma, there is a hidden stigma where individuals themselves will see that okay, whether we should go for the gatherings, we should interact with other people or what might about us. So it does have a adverse effect on the individual's thoughts, individual's behavior, and individual's interpersonal relationship. So this is the one aspect where we need to be careful while dealing with people who shows such kind of manifestation, such kind of behavior of suicide or related to the suicide. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Anyone else want to ask anything with Mr. Nilesh, Mr. Akash? Any participant want to ask any question? Shashita, I think participants have done that with queries. So now I am speaking. Hello. Actually, I would like to congratulate Nilesh. He has held the topic so comprehensive. Right in the beginning, I was really in a state of awe. He has touched each and every topic. And he has touched each and every topic of all the speakers also, I think, except speakers. It was very well formulated, very comprehensively well, ranging into sociological aspect, the violent behavior, the different friendships of society, community, the social, each and every topic, even the psychological intervention part. I think everything is covered in the talk, and my congratulations, Kaka, was very well spoken, very well dealt with. And of course, our pastor also was very, he gave a very brief, very comprehensive talk. So, Shashi, I'm really impressed. This was a very great talk. I would like to thank Nilesh, who managed to do this the talk very effectively and maybe around 6 in the morning, and he's doing the talk, and later on he has to do the whole day work also.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes. In our speaker, our chairperson, who have managed to enrich their knowledge, and so effectively they answered the queries of our participants and satisfied them. Thank you so much. And the participants also who managed to listen in a very busy schedule also and actively attended the webinar. And today is the first day. Another 2 days are also very interesting. I think you all must be active on the other day. Shashar, over to you. What are the real you
Yeah, sure. Really interesting, full discussion where everybody discussed and shared their own experiences. And like I said earlier, in this present scenario, I think this is a very important topic to discuss right now. And it was really good. Both speakers were really good with their presentation. And I think we should have more sessions like this in the future as well, so that we can, all the, I can see that all the participants were there, the young people and all they were coming up with their queries and everything, and they want to know more. So it shows that they are really interested in this topic and they want to know more and to, put, to have practical, practical, knowledge and practical use of this knowledge to the society as well. So I think it was a very good session, and once again I like thank everyone for for being present and for this wonderful and very helpful presentation. So and thank you for taking me up on this session as well. I really thank you and appreciate it. Thank you.
we are covering the whole aspect of the suicidal thoughts and suicidal attempts. long time, and be enriched with the knowledge